Hey Tristan, first off, congratulations on the seed and the placement. What's kind of your reaction when you saw you guys got the number 2 seed and then you saw your draw?
Oh, we're just excited, it's the best time of the year. We've waited 2 years for this opportunity, and so we're ready to get going.
At this point in the season, what is this team doing well? Why would you be confident in the Longhorns going into the NCAA tournament?
Uh, I definitely have to say it's our culture and our mentality. We seem like a team that we're never really phased by adversity. We know what we bring to the table, and the best thing I like about this team is that we can win in multiple ways. Whether it's pitching, defense, or timely hitting, this team can beat you in multiple ways, and that's what gives us the confidence to face up against anyone.
Roger, go ahead.
Hey, Tristan, the dish should be something else this weekend compared to the rest of the season. On the flip side is, how important is it for all these advantages you have to realize that, you still have to win baseball games?
Yeah, and that's the kind of the approach we're going to this week, is that at the end of the day, it's just another day. It's another game. Nothing changes. It's the same rules. Everything's the same. It's just obviously the environment's going to be different. And the big thing we get the younger guys is to understand that, hey, we earned this opportunity and we've done what we've been doing all year. So there's nothing really to change. It's just back to work, and let's get our preparation going. And
then one more, just the number 2 overall. That's showing you guys a lot of respect, and we bring it up a lot, but coming out of Arlington, you guys didn't flinch, and it's showing now for sure.
Yeah, it is. And like I just mentioned, I think that goes to show kind of the culture and mentality that we've established in our clubhouse. I think that speaks a lot of how the growth that we've made from the beginning of the season to now.
Kirk, go ahead.
Yeah, Tristan, you need a lot of pitching, obviously, to get through regionals. And because you are playing the 4 seed, do you kind of think you'll be starting game 1? Have you talked to the coaching staff about it yet?
We have not talked about it yet. I'm confident with any of our starters going out there, and we know what we can bring. So whether it's me, Ty, Pete, or Coob, we'll be ready.
And does anybody know anything about Southern, y'all's first opponent?
We do not. And to be honest with you, I don't think the opponent really matters. As long as we stay with us and stay with our game plan, we can beat anyone.
Thanks.
Nick, go ahead.
Yeah, Tristan, it's been a long wait for y'all after, missing the tournament in 2019. And then obviously last year there was no tournament. So obviously y'all knew that you were going to be in this thing, but just to see it and get that number 2 seed after all that you've been through, just with COVID last year and then going through it this year. I mean, what's it feel for you personally? And then what was it like to just celebrate that moment with the guys for a little bit?
It's definitely a special moment for these group of guys. COVID took a hard hit, not just on our group, but in baseball in general. And so to see the work and the preparation we did all fall, all winter, and all spring, and to have the results and the opportunity you have with the number 2 seed, it kind of shows, it makes it all worth it at the end of the day.
And then obviously, you're excited right now, but then kind of when you go into the tournament, you just sort of almost wipe that out of your head and say, we don't even worry about the seed that we are. We're just, playing who's out there, and, we'll see what the cards fall.
Yeah. A big thing I try to tell the guys is, enjoy it today, but it's back to work tomorrow. You can't let the good and the bad moments carry on for more than one day, because then they can mess with you. So we'll enjoy this, this day, but we're about to start practice and it's game time.
Joe Cook, go ahead.
Tristan, sorry if you've been asked this, but y'all weren't on ESPN for the selection show. We weren't there in the locker room, obviously. So when y'all saw, where y'all were, who's coming, what was the reaction in the locker room?
It was definitely excitement. I would also say confidence too. Seeing that we have that number 2 seed kind of helps solidify what we know, what we're capable of, and to see that 2 seed and what we're paired with it, it brings a lot of excitement and joy, but the competition aspect of it and just thinking about how the dish will be packed for the first time this year at the right time of the year, it makes it all worth it.
And then you were on the 2018 team, but you had a very limited role. So now that you are a team leader, the number 2 starter, a guy that everybody looks up to. What are you taking from that run a couple of years ago when guys like, Nolan and Chase were leading the way? Now that's your job. What are you trying to do in this upcoming tournament?
Yeah, and I think it's, enjoy the moment, enjoy it, but don't let it consume you. Like I mentioned earlier, it's the same game, whether it was when we had 50 fans or when we'll have, 9, 10,000, it's the same game, but to make sure to appreciate, what we're going to bring to the table. But at the end of the day, it's just don't try to be more than who you are.
Dustin, you're up.
Tristan, you and Ty has kind of set the tone for that pitching staff in terms of work ethic and preparation and things like that. What's it been like for you two guys to see Pete kind of find that groove as well? And is this rotation, you think, peaking at the right time as you guys enter the postseason?
Yeah, I think it is, and me and Ty both know that Pete's a special talent, and to see him kind of study us and us take him under our wing and giving him tips, and he'll give us tips too. And it kind of just goes to show the relationship that we have with our guys. We're not afraid to speak up and, point out a flaw or, compliment each other and try to pick each other's brains. But, what I think what makes the staff special is that we're always trying to learn, and we're never satisfied, whether we do good or bad. You'll see all of us back at the baseball field the next day. So, I think that just goes to show the kind of the culture that we've established.
Danny, go ahead.
Listen, there's only about a half dozen of you guys who know what it's like to play in a sold out dish in this kind of circumstance. It's been that long since the dish was going to be rocking like this. What do you tell your younger teammates about that? And do you guys need to go out and advertise and ask people to come on this weekend, or do you think that's going to take care of itself?
I think it'll take care of itself. I think the opportunity of having a full capacity and Texas fans seeing what their baseball team has been doing, I expect to see a great crowd. And, the message we'll send to the younger guys is just, enjoy it, enjoy the moment, but don't let the moment change who you are as a player. Don't feel like you have to be more than what you've been doing all year, because what we've been doing all year has obviously gotten us to where we are now. So I think the message is, enjoy it, embrace the moment, but don't let it change you.
Got one last one for Tristan. Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Tristan, kind of piggybacking on that a little bit. I mean, you've been, kind of the younger guy that's been called on to come into games and kind of high leverage situations to get through an inning or get it out. What advice or just kind of guidance do you give, Tanner and Aaron, the younger guys that haven't been here before as they've gone through the season, be it good or bad, as they go in and out of those situations?
Yeah. And the advice I usually try to give them is that, you're meant to be in those situations. You've earned the right to be put in that spot. And this team has that belief in you. So whether, the outcome is good or bad, if your mentality and if you're competing, then the outcome should not matter. I talked to Nixon after, the Oklahoma State outing, which didn't go his way, but he needs to understand that he's young and he's got a bright future ahead. And I just had to, tell him that, baseball is a game of failure, and, it's not the outcomes aren't always going to go in your favor, but the best thing you can do is learn from it and respond in a proper way. And I think he will. I mean, these young guys we have been soaking up all the information we've been giving them, and, they have a bright future ahead of them.
Thanks, Tristan. Appreciate the time.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Hang tight, everybody. We'll have Coach Pierce in a couple minutes here.
Yeah, it's like I told the players, they did a great job all year of creating this body of work and building a resume to be a number 2 national seed. And it's based on the entire season. Great job with their RPI, great job with their strength of schedule and surviving it. So, they got rewarded today. So now we got to go out and compete and enjoy this competition going into, a regional that's going to be 100% capacity, which is going to be awesome for our kids. It's the first time they're going to see the dish at that capacity, and just the excitement of playing in a regional at the dish.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Roger, start us off.
Hey, David, you get a full house at the dish. You you're rolling with a national seed. Do you have to kind of remind the guys that, work has to get done and, you still got to win ball games here?
Well, that's how we got in this position, is just putting the work in. And so the excitement today, there will be some bounce in their step, but we have some good reference from this past weekend of we can definitely get better, and they understand that. And they know that we need to be at our best going into a regional play and in the postseason. So I don't think we're going to have to convince them of anything or motivate them. I think they're going to be right.
Any initial thoughts about the 3 teams coming here?
Yeah, I mean, you knew you were going to get a Power 5 team. Arizona State finished 4th in the pack. They're always a very aggressive, good team. They've got postseason history. Fairfield's kind of the darling of the year with the season they've had. Tremendous season. I don't know a lot about their team yet, other than they won 37 games and only lost 3. And then typical of getting a SWAC team that won the tournament, because they're always a 1-bid league. And so you take a look at each team and kind of see how everything lays out, and see how we want to approach not only game 1, but how we want to approach the best way to win the tournament.
Danny, go ahead.
David, we noticed that y'all weren't on TV today for the selection show, and that was something that was with the softball team as well. Is that just a logistics thing, or was that a philosophy thing? Or
I had nothing to do with it, and I'm not sure. I was actually kind of wondering the same thing while we weren't on any kind of video. I think it was probably Kevin's fault.
Always blame Kevin. That's a good idea. Another logistics question for the team and the coaches in general. Is this a bubble situation, or has those rules been relaxed? And if so, how do you approach, that going into the tournament?
Well, I'm not sure if I understand. What do you mean a bubble situation?
The previous tournaments, like the basketball team, they had to be secluded in a hotel. They couldn't volleyball team as well. Is that the same thing, or is it kind of business as once was?
I'm not 100% positive on that, but all I keep hearing is that we're at 100% capacity, and we will open up our indoor facility for the other 3 teams for cage work and stuff. And it will be the first time that anyone else has come in outside of, softball tournaments and all. So it'll be the first time that anyone has ever utilized the indoor facility.
Cedric, go ahead.
Yeah, David, don't worry about Kevin. We'll take care of him. You just leave him to us. Were you shocked that you get 3 national seeds in the Big 12, and it's a really good year in the conference, but you only get 4 teams in? Are you surprised a team like Baylor didn't get to the field?
Yeah, I'm very disappointed in that piece. I know it's tough on the committee, and this year is probably tougher than ever. Because some of the RPIs are not going to be weighed the same as in the past. So you take the Big Ten that only played a Big Ten schedule, the ACC as well. So I think they got a little forgiveness for that. Baylor was in a good spot, and when you're the number 2 RPI league in the country and you only get 4, it's great that we have 3 nationals, but a couple other teams in our league had to compete against 3 nationals. So their body of work should have been a little bit more considered, in my opinion. I know how tough both those teams, and I'm referring to Baylor and K-State. When you look at K-State's RPI, I think that would be the only thing. But there's some teams that have a lower RPI than them that did get in. But like I said, I know it's difficult for the committee. I think we deserved at least 1 more, but I'm happy that we had 3 nationals.
Yeah, you mentioned this past weekend giving you a look at what you need to work on. What's your biggest concern with the offense that wasn't what we saw coming into the tournament?
I think the best thing that happened for us is that we were able to get past the 0-2 and to play the 2 additional games, so we have better information. And when you look back at the tournament and then looking at film and then talking to coaches, I just feel like the guys got away from who they are. They got a little bit big in their swings, or, you know, it's a good place to drive the ball out of the ballpark. So you get a little pull happy. A little tension with 2 strikes creates bad swings or chasing pitches. And, you know, that's something that our young players need to understand and learn from. And we face good stuff, but we're going to face good stuff the rest of the way. So we have to deal with that. The key for us is getting back to the middle of the field and being committed to the middle of the field, and not just hitting fly balls, but being committed to line drives up the middle. And that's what we've preached. And we just kind of got away from that, unfortunately, but fortunately it's reference for us that we can use moving forward. So I really think we'll be fine. We're a solid offensive team. We understand at times we have to create, but there is power in our lineup when they hit correctly. It's not necessarily get your A swing off. It means to pull the ball. It means hit the ball where it's pitched on the line with your A swing. And your A swing meaning 0-0 and then hit counts, getting in situations where you have better pitches. So I think pitch selection, seeing the ball deep, staying in the middle of the field will be our reference all week.
Joe Cook, go ahead.
You have plenty of postseason experience going all the way back to, you know.
Can't hardly hear you, Joe.
I know you have plenty of postseason experience going back to, you know, when you were at U of H, Rice, all the way through your next few stops. But the 2018 team seems to have the most parallels and similarities to this one of a lot of your runs. So what did you learn from that run that you're applying for this year's upcoming postseason track?
Well, the one thing, in my opinion, is you don't want to change your routine now or make the regional bigger than the regular season. Players feel pressure just by the game itself. And so we want to put our work in. We want to get a good sweat every day, but working towards how we're going to approach day one, and then how we're going to play one inning at a time. Everything we've talked about. The reference from 18, you know, it's confidence. It's maybe one guy in the lineup can create that confidence for the entire team, and then doing your job. I think when you look back at 18, Cody created the confidence with the great offensive year, but the great offensive postseason. David Hamilton did a great job of playing shortstop in the middle of the field, but also being a pretty consistent hitter. And then a guy like Jake McKenzie, who just continued to just try to do his job and not do anything more. So just really getting locked into, you know, the individual play within their groups, and then that whole team concept is when we're our best. And I think that's what we can learn from the 18 team.
And then different topic. I know you said you didn't know a ton about them, but still Fairfield to be from a typical one bid league and get an at-large to win, you know, 37 of 40 games. How just impressive is it that they were able to make it as an at-large and do what they did this season and be that top RPI team?
You know, we did that 3 times at Sam Houston State, and so that's difficult to do in a mid-major. To become a true at-large, I think their body of work proved it. Even though they stayed within their conference, I believe most of the year, that was not their choice. That's what they were dealt, and so they did a great job of playing their schedule and competing at that level. I really don't know how good they are, if they've ever been in an environment like this, but you know, we have found out in this age of parity that anybody can beat you on any given day. And so that's the message we've got to understand, is that we've got to come to play or you're going to get beat. It doesn't matter what the name is. If it says, you know, a big brand name or a small mid-major, you've got to understand that it's about us. It's about playing our game, and it's not about trying to do more to create, but much more about letting the game come to you and not forcing it. And sometimes that happens when you play maybe a lesser name team. You feel like that this team can't beat you. But Fairfield has been in the spotlight a lot this year. So the team has definitely recognized who they are.
Bob, go ahead.
Just on that note, you mentioned it's about you, but how do you get your guys to approach this weekend? Do you say we're only going to look at Southern right now and worry about Southern? Do you have them look at a broader perspective of each team? What's kind of the procedure this week?
Well, that's kind of been the format the entire year. If we're in a preseason tournament or this past postseason tournament, it's really difficult to have players look ahead in the next possible game. You can do that with pitchers though, because a starting pitcher that's not going to pitch, and you know he's not going to pitch on game one, will start working towards their offensive lineup with Coach Allen, kind of behind the scenes, and with myself. And so you're able to do that with pitching, but in the big scope, you don't do it. So we'll focus on Southern.
And then you mentioned on Saturday you wanted to see them today and how much fun this selection show would be for them. Can you kind of take us into the locker room and what it was like and how they reacted?
Well, we have so many in there, they didn't really know what to expect. And they were just kind of interested. I wouldn't say they were overly excited. I wouldn't say that they were starstruck or, because of Kevin, we didn't see ourselves on TV. So it didn't overwhelm them at all.
Nick, go ahead.
You're getting abused over there.
Yeah, David, talking to Tristan earlier, obviously he's pretty amped to be back at the stage. As one of the few guys that was here for that 2018 team. I'm just curious what it's been like for you to kind of watch his growth as a transfer that came in, was coming off surgery, and now he's one of the most vital pieces for you all heading into this regional. Maybe
one of the most rewarding stories of recent time for sure for me, and especially being here at Texas. Tristan cried when he committed. Coming to Texas was that big for him. Sometimes you worry about that because of the expectations that they put on themselves to get here. He came off of injury, and he really struggled. He had no consistency in his delivery, even as simple as breaking his hands out of his glove. Didn't understand his own timing. But the one thing about Tristan, and I credit him more than anything, is that he never backed down and he never quit working. And if you look at his body, he's in great shape. But I think what we've noticed more than anything is how competitive he really is. And sometimes that doesn't come out until they get opportunity. And he's just continuing to do that. And has proven in tough situations, in a tough inning, that it didn't faze him. And so he's always been a guy that we've trusted once he got healthy. And now he's increased his repertoire by adding a cutter with the slider. And it's usually not a good combination unless you have really good feel. But he's able to throw both pitches off of his fastball and changeup. So it's just been real impressive to watch his work and then listen to him, talk pitching. I mean, he's helped other guys. He helped us with Jared Southern's delivery. And that's something because he pays attention. He's like, Coach, I think if he goes straight up instead of back, he's got a better shot. I'm like, that's a hell of a point. And it makes all the sense in the world for that delivery. Let's work on that. And I want you to help him, and we'll all help him. And so he's just been kind of an overall teammate that you like having around, but he leads by example. He's an incredible young man that pitches his tail off every week for this team, and he has a desire to win.
Kirk, you're up.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Who's gonna pitch?
Who's gonna pitch? I mean, strategy changes and everything. I mean, Gus always pitched as number 2 or number 3, but I remember Swindell coming out of the bullpen to beat Texas Southern one year. So what's your general philosophy on that?
There's a lot of stuff that's going to go into play there. And so until I get a look at all 3 teams and see our best matchup, but also our timing of who's ready, best availability, that also coordinates with their prep. So I don't know yet. I really don't. Well, Sean and I'll take a look at the 3 teams and make a decision probably by tomorrow.
Okay. You mentioned some of the guys getting out of their swing, at the ballpark. Do you worry a little bit about the younger guys and the pressure being the number 2 seed and how lofty the expectations are, David?
I think we're still a work in progress every single day. And so it's not like we're hitting 320 and all of a sudden we didn't hit. I mean, our offense is generated on a lot of things. It could be the base on ball. It could be the short game. That usually opens up our power game or potentially driving the ball in the gap. And so sometimes it's so predicated on how the game goes. A couple of one-run games, one-run wins, or close ball games that we did win, we still had to generate some offense. It's a lot easier when they go to home plate and we get a leadoff hitter on, drives the ball in a gap or something. But I think more than anything, you worry about their mindset and just making sure they have confidence and they're seeing the ball well, because it's not a time of the year that you're going to start revamping swings. It just, you can't do that right now. So for me, it's just getting their minds clear, getting their confidence going. And one of our drills today has a lot to do with that. So hopefully we can get them to relax and see the baseball.
Thanks, David.
Dustin, go ahead.
David, so much of the season is gathering information. By now, you've gathered a ton about your team. What have you gathered about this group over the year that makes you excited about their ability to play deep into June?
Our defense is so good. And to me, our defense and pitching determines so much of everyone, the outcomes of our games. When I say that to the team, at times I think they think that I don't believe that they can hit, and that's not true. I just know that if we pitch and play defense, we have an opportunity to win every game. And if you look back at our 15 losses, you'll see so many close ball games, and it's usually because we didn't have an at bat or a clutch hit, potentially a pitch here and there, but we were always in every single ball game except one that I can recall, and that's the Sunday game at Baylor. And so that is the most exciting thing, knowing that our team is going to give us a chance to win. Now, if we can piece all 3 phases together, we can make a deep run.
Got one last one. Roger Wallace, go ahead.
David, when you think about 2 years ago, you guys aren't even paying attention to the show after Omaha. What does it say about, what your staff and the guys that are still around? I know you were thinking last year at 14-3, you got a good chance to, have a nice season, but to be in this position, that's a pretty nice job of doing what I'm sure you expected that this program could do, getting back here.
Well, there's no doubt we expected to, and we talked a lot about 19, and I think we understand that at the end of every year we really evaluate from top to bottom. And for me, my goal every single year is, did we maximize each player? And if we didn't, where did we miss out? I mean, what happened to this one particular guy? Was it mental? Was it physical? Was it injuries? Was it off the field stuff? And so we try to just bring all those pieces together. To be in the top 5 for a big portion of the year, or the top 10 after starting 0-3, and making a statement to our team that we need to remember this and learn from it, and then to watch it happen is pretty rewarding, because you have a young team that's not really sure what's going to happen at this level of baseball, but to just watch that development every single day and to watch them grow. I mean, that's why we do this stuff. And to be in the position we're in based on how we started is, I think, such a tribute to our players and our coaches, and just understanding that we play a lot of good competition. We're a good team, and let's just put our head down and see what happens. And I think that's what we've done. Every year you'll go through a phase where either you're struggling as a team or you're nitpicking things as a coach, And I've never had to get upset with this team. I've never been disappointed in this team ever. Now, have we been perfect? No. Have we struggled at times? Of course, but disappointment's not the word, because their commitment and their attitude and their effort has been off the charts. And so as a coach, if you can get that out of them, then it goes to a level of talent and skill. And I think that's where we're working every single day. It's not about, players made a 1.5 or didn't go to class or off the field issues. Never. We haven't had one single issue like that. And it's just such a tribute to the kids on this team and Sean and Philip bringing in the right type of players.
Lots happened since you dove in your pool in full uniform last year, huh?
Well, I actually dove in it the other day when we won the conference, but just saying.
Hopefully not in full uniform, but we appreciate
I
the
was in full uniform.
Thanks, Coach.
Because I wore it home that night.
Nice.
I love it, man. We only get to do this ever so often. When you have those opportunities, you take advantage of them. I love the game. I love these kids. I love this level of baseball. So why not celebrate it?